Hello! Today we'll be making 3D bubble bars or bubble cakes based on the Soap Queen's recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm starting off with castor oil, and then glycerin, and then my fragrance is sangria. If you remember, I got that in my soap haul that I have a video for. I'll place something right up here. Please go take a look at the info bar above. So now what I'm going to do is get my dry ingredients. I have cornstarch, and I have my sifter to make sure I get out any clumps that may be there. The next thing I have is cream of tartar. Putting that through my sifter as well. Now I'm getting my mass because the powders are getting a little airborne. Next I have baking soda. And I'm going down, getting to some of the fine powders. Tapioca starch. And then finally my SLSA. And this is what makes the bubbles, but it is super fine, so make sure you wear a mask or some protective gear because it will get caught up in the air and it will make you cough. So I go ahead and mix that slowly with my whisk, and now I'm actually mixing up my wet ingredients, getting everything all incorporated. Now I'm mixing my wet and my dry with my whisk, and I finally decided everything was just kind of clumping up on the whisk. So I decided to go ahead and knead it by hand. So basically I'm just mixing in, kneading everything together. So I did a little bit at a time. So after I got some mixed in, then I went ahead and added some more of my wet ingredients. This recipe worked very well. I actually didn't have to add anything else. If you remember my last video, I did end up adding a bit too much glycerin, but this one, all the liquids and everything worked out perfectly. As you see, I have a nice ball formed, and I'm using the bath bomb colorants here. And so I had red, orange, as well as blue. And so what I decided to use for this, since I'm using sangria, and I decided to use the red and the orange. I'm going to go ahead and use the flower designs because I'm trying to go for my 3D bubble bar. So I take and divide these in half, and the first I'm going to start off with the orange. So this was really worked well because before I had used food colorant, but this you really just need a little bit and it goes a long way. It gives you a very bright and vivid color. So here I'm just mixing it through, and everything mixed through very well. And the good part is it didn't add any more liquid. So now I'm going ahead and moving on to my red colorant. Again, a little bit just goes a long way. So I'm very happy with this purchase. I'm happy I went ahead to get this instead of just using food coloring. And again, mixing this through, everything mixes through very well and evenly using this colorant. And here is my red. Now I'm going to go ahead and prepare my surface. I'm using baking soda to keep everything from sticking, and I'm using my fondant roller to roll out my bubble cake dough. So once I get everything ready, I'll go ahead and roll that out. I'm also using a fondant press to make sure everything's nice and smooth before I go ahead and use my cookie cutters, which I'm using 2 different sizes to obtain that 3D bubble cake look. So first I'm going to cut out that first layer, which will be a flower. And then I'm just using, it's actually a dough cutter to actually lift my flowers off from my surface. And once I lift them up, everything looks really well. So I will go ahead and put those in a pan to set them aside and continue on with making my bubble dough. So here I'm doing the yellow ones, and I've made different sizes. So I've already gone through and made the smaller sizes of the red. So now I'm using glycerin as my glue. So that's something that I figured out in my last bubble cake video, to use glycerin to glue my bubble cakes together to make them have that 3D effect. So that's what you see me dipping my finger into. And so basically I'm just putting a little glycerin on the bottom of the smaller flower and then adding them to the top of the larger flower. So the next thing I decided to do was add little centers to the flowers. And so these 3D bubble cake flowers have 3 tiers. They have the middle and the orange or the red flower, and then it's a larger flower on the bottom. And finally, we can't forget the glitter. So to make the bubble cakes a little moist, I add some witch hazel, which you see me spraying here, and then I go ahead and add the glitter. And oh, they look beautiful. That really put the icing on the cake there, or the glitter on the bubble cakes or bubble bars. So this is about 5 days later. They really turned out well. They dried really well and quickly, and they look really great. I like how the colors held up. You can really see that they are very bright and vivid. The fragrance still smells so bright and yummy. I will definitely have to order this fragrance again. As you can remember, this is one that I got from my haul. So I'm really happy with the outcome of these bubble cakes. Here's a few photos I did of after I had gone ahead and packaged them up. Here are my bubble cakes, and don't they look just fantastic? I'd like to thank all of my subscribers, my both new and my current subscribers. And I'd like to thank you for watching. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, goodbye until next time.